Farmer Curtis Stone once made one change to his weekly routine that increased his farm sales by 30% without adding any new land or changing any of his crops. When his fresh sheet went from sporadic to consistent, everything, including those all important sales, changed.
This year, like I'm up over 30% on my sales this year. I haven't changed anything as far as I'm on the same amount of land. I've changed things in my production a little bit. I'm on the same amount of land, but I'm selling a lot more. And I'm pretty sure a lot of it has to do with is consistency with my fresh sheets.
Today, I'll show you why this simple email strategy works, the psychology behind it, and exactly how to implement it this week. Thanks for watching the Urban Farmer Rewind. I'm Diego Diego, and you're about to learn the fresh sheet system that can transform how small farm businesses sell to busy buyers. Whether you're selling to restaurants, retailers, or really any B2B customer who needs regular reminders about what you have available, we're going to get into how you can make it as simple for the buyer as possible. And when it's simple for them, that means sales for you. So let's get into it. Here's how Curtis defined a fresh sheet.
It's sort of an email correspondence program I send out every week, display what I'm selling to all my chefs. So I send it out every Monday. I use a program called MailChimp, and I basically just replicate the same campaign over and over again. If I have a new item, I just add it, put in a new photograph each time, and I make it mobile friendly so it's easy to view on their phone and just blast it out, just saying, hey, this is what I have. These are the prices.
But here's the key insight it's about serving, it's not just about selling.
Essentially, what it does that I find is very effective is it prompts orders because it's like a friendly reminder to be like, hey, don't forget to place your order kind of thing.
Executive chefs often manage 15 to 20 direct reports, having multiple vendors, designing menus, and managing costs. Your fresh sheet isn't interrupting them, it can be helpful with their workflow.
The chefs are busy, right? And especially in peak tourist season, they've got so much going on that if you don't prompt them, sometimes they just forget to order. It's not necessarily that they don't want to, it's they forget.
The competitive reality.
It's a very competitive market here. So other farmers are coming in all the time, and sometimes chefs just see what's in front of them. And so if you're not constantly staying on top of it, you can lose market share pretty quickly.
Even loyal customers appreciate reminders.
Most of my chefs are the ones that are always forgetting to place the order. When I send them a text that says, hey, just checking in about your order, they say, oh, thanks for the reminder, dude. They're usually appreciative of that because I've been in situations where you didn't follow up and then they were pissed off because they just thought that you were going to bring stuff. Like there's often a lot of assumptions, and that's just because they have so much on their plate.
Curtis went from 3 hours to 10 minutes per week. Here's how.
Essentially, what I do is I always replicate the campaign. So I have a campaign made. It has last week's fresh sheet. It has everything that I had on there last week. So basically, when I replicate that, I just go into it and I edit. Okay, oh, I don't have golden beet this week, but I have carrot. So I add carrot. There's always the foundation of the stuff that I've had in previous emails. And so I'm just adding and subtracting the odd thing here and there.
The format is ruthlessly simple.
I've kind of categorized. I have greens, summer crops, herbs, microgreens, roots, and then greens. Okay. Arugula, $10 a pound. Spring mix. I might have in parentheses saying what's in the mix that week. It's pretty simple. I don't have a description of each product in there. That would take too much text. What I do is when I introduce a new product to the fresh sheet, I'll feature that on the top with a picture of it, and then I'll have a description of it there. I'll just familiarize them with it once, and then it'll just get listed.
In this day and age, mobile optimization is critical.
This thing is mobile friendly. It's as narrow as your iPhone screen. So the text is big enough that you can see it relatively easy.
Here's a pro tip for text conversions.
When you send out a campaign in MailChimp, you can say like publish a little link, like a shrunken down link. I'll copy and paste that into the notes. So if I have a chef that's texting me, maybe he didn't get the email or he didn't check his email, I can just copy and paste that and just text it to him right there. And then he can click on it, opens it up. He has it right there.
This counterintuitive strategy prevents the biggest fresh sheet mistake.
As far as what I know I have in the field and what I can offer to chefs, one thing that I find served me well in strategy is only listing things that I know I have a lot of. Say I had a short harvest of carrots one week. Say I only harvested 70 pounds and then normally I would have had 100. I might not list the carrots on the fresh sheet that week, but I'll probably just let my closest customers know, the ones that would always buy them.
Why this matters.
I made a mistake many times in the past. You just list everything that you have on your fresh sheet, and then you get 4 orders for the thing that you have the least amount of. And now you're screwing yourself over because now you're having to follow up with all these chefs and say, oh, sorry, I'm short on this. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to be short on things.
Instead, manage scarcity privately.
It's better to just not list it and maybe text a couple people that you think are most likely to take it and go from there.
Clear boundaries drive action.
On the fresh sheet, there's a little note on the bottom that says, for Tuesday orders, we need your order by Monday morning. For Friday orders, we need your order by Thursday morning. We always try to get 24 hours at least.
Accept orders multiple ways, but document everything.
And how do they explicitly place the order? Are they texting it? Are they emailing it? They call you?
Yeah, all of the above. Phone calling is the worst because then I don't have it written down.
When they call, simply redirect.
New chefs that I'm dealing with, they'll like to call because they like to shoot the breeze and stuff. They're learning about your farm and that's totally cool. And so as I'm talking to them, I'll say, hey, can you text this to me or would you mind emailing this to me?
Here's how a two-touch cadence could work when you communicate your fresh sheet to a customer. Monday morning, you send them the full fresh sheet. This has your complete inventory, all of the categories. It's in mobile-friendly format so they can easily check it on their phone, and there's clear order cutoff times. You follow up with that Wednesday around noon. This is a last call reminder to people to get their orders in if they already haven't done so. Keep these messages very brief, 60 words max. List your top 5 items only and make it very clear that orders close tomorrow at 10 a.m. or whenever that closing time is, and keep it in a text-friendly, simple format that's easy to read and easy to understand. This simple addition of following up and sending reminders typically can increase order rates by 15 to 20% with minimal extra work. Sometimes people just need a reminder that they actually need to buy. Curtis emailed all 21 of his customers at that time the same fresh sheet, but you could consider refining that and segmenting it. Here's how you could do that. You could have a tiered system where tier A could be your core customers. They get it Monday at 8 a.m. and then they get a Wednesday reminder. Tier B would be the occasional buyers, the people you're trying to convert into tier A. They get it at Monday at 9 a.m. and that's it. You don't send them a reminder because they're not a locked-in customer yet. For scarce items, you can rotate the items through the tiers to decide who gets the first opportunity based on what tier you value most, your existing customers or the occasional customer that you're trying to convert into an existing customer. So use your scarce items to your advantage and reward the group that you want to encourage to buy more often or stay a customer.
I'm prioritizing certain customers over others, but that's just the nature of business. So some customers that will spend $10,000 a year on my farm naturally are going to have a little bit more priority as far as where I'm selling my stuff, or customers that are paying me consistently more often.
Be sure to track who you ordered what so you can see how this plays out in reality because you want to actually know how your strategies play out and you want to keep things fair and balanced. How do you know if this is successful? The key is in the data. So you're going to track three numbers weekly. One, send consistency. Did you send an email or a text notification on Monday? That's a simple yes or no. Yes is a success, no is a fail. Two, order rate. That's orders received divided by emails sent. If you send 10 emails and 5 customers order, that's a order rate of 50%. You can track that metric over time and adjust your fresh sheet timing and copy to see if you can push that percentage higher or even cull customers who just aren't ordering week after week. 3 is your fulfillment rate. This is items fulfilled divided by items ordered. This is really a measurement of can you produce what you're selling. Ideally, you want this to be as close to 100% as possible. You don't want to only be able to fulfill 9 out of the 10 items ordered because eventually that leads to customer dissatisfaction and return customers drop off and go somewhere else. And the final key metric that really matters, revenue per send. There's a big difference between texting somebody and having them place a $20 order and texting them and having them place a $200 order. So pay attention to which customers have the highest revenue per send. And eventually you can call out the bottom of the list that's not bringing in a lot of revenue for you and focus on the better customers and try and grow their average revenue per send. When Curtis talked about this, there was a clear correlation.
I'm very rigid about scheduling now. It's like Monday morning, I must spend 1 hour doing these things, like fresh sheet, sending out a notice to my landowners and people that I trade with, what vegetables I have. And that consistency has definitely brought in more sales. There's no question about it.
If you're vibing with this and you want to put a system like this into place, here's a 10-minute implementation checklist. So on Monday morning, this is what you're going to do. 1, duplicate last week's campaign. 2, update inventory. Add or remove items that you no longer have in stock or available. 3, verify that order cutoffs are correct. 4, paste a short link to your phone notes. 5, send tier A, your list at 8 a.m. 6, send tier B, your list at 9 a.m. if you do have a tier B. And 7, schedule a Wednesday last call reminder to follow up with the people who haven't placed an order yet, reminding them, hey, you better get that in because we're closing orders tomorrow at 10 a.m. This is a similar process to what Curtis did on his farm, and it reflects his philosophy on perfection.
When you got to get things done that are routine, do them fast, get it done, blast it out. It's not that important. Maybe you forgot to add an item, big deal, but just get it done.
If you've never written a fresh sheet before, here's a little helpful template to get you started. This is purposefully simple and basic. It doesn't need to be complicated for you, and it doesn't need to be complicated for your customer. The key is to get the minimum viable amount of information across so everybody understands the parameters and can hopefully place an order and get it back to you. Very simple subject line, something like this week's fresh sheet, order by Thursday at 10 a.m. You're going to list your top 5 crops for the week, list them out, and list the unit price. Obviously, your unit price should be appropriate to the customer base. If most of your restaurant customers are buying per case, list it by the case, which might be very different than what a farmer's market customer buys. You can also list out your full inventory of what you have. You want to give them very clear, simple instructions on how to order. Something as basic as reply with quantities by text or email or phone. Let them make it easy. Remember, chefs are busy. You don't want them to have to go sit down and write Moby Dick on the computer to get their order back to you. Just 5 pounds lettuce, 5 pounds microgreens, 5 pounds carrots, whatever it is. Keep it simple and then have your cutoff time. When does somebody need to order if they want to get it fulfilled or delivered by a certain time? Make sure that that's very clear. And then, if appropriate, if you feel absolutely necessary, a short, simple, one line farm update or seasonal note. Our farm is really banging this time of year. We'd love to have some of our produce for your customers. I don't know, whatever it is. If you're just starting with a fresh sheet, here are 3 simple implementation keys. 1, start with a basic template like we just showed. Build it once, replicate it forever or as needed. Make small changes, but don't obsess on this. Don't take forever. I see too many people get bogged down in the details of trying to make this thing look super pretty or put every little bit of information on it. Keep it basic, find something that works, and just roll with it until it breaks or until people keep asking, well, when is the cutoff date? Maybe you just have it in the wrong position on the text or email that you're sending. Just don't do this from scratch every week. Work off a template. 2, keep it ruthlessly simple. No descriptions, no stories, just really product and price. Easy to read at a glance, easy to understand at a glance, no questions. 3, relentless consistency. If you send it every Monday morning at 8 a.m., you have to send it every Monday morning at 8 a.m. and follow up every whenever, Wednesday at noon. Not, oh, I sent it this week, next week I didn't send it. Send it the following week, the next week I didn't. Keep it consistent and keep the format consistent. So when people see it, they're very familiar with what they're looking at to make their ordering process very easy.
That consistency has definitely brought in more sales. There's no question about it.
Bringing this full circle. In The Urban Farmer Season 1, Week 24, Curtis talked about how this little change in his fresh sheet increased his sales 30%. That's without adding land, without adding new crops or bigger harvests. It just required one change. Showing up consistently in your customer's inbox when they need you. Your fresh sheet isn't just about you or your products. It's really about what every business is about, making your customers' lives easier in whatever way you can. And when you understand that business is about that, not just about sales, everything changes. If you're digging this, want to put an action plan in this week, here's some steps you can do. 1, create a template today using the one we showed as a starting point for your own fresh sheet. 2, send it out Monday morning at 8 a.m. to your restaurant customers. 3, schedule a follow-up around Wednesday with a last call reminder. And then start tracking your metrics, such as your order rate, to see how everything is working. Remember, the difference between struggling to sell and having too much demand isn't about what you grow. It's often about how consistently you remind people what's available. Because busy buyers aren't trying to ignore you on purpose. They're just busy. Your job is to be helpful and cut through that busyness with clear communication, consistency, and a process that makes it easy to order. If you can do that and your product is high quality and your service is good, sales will follow. Thanks for watching this version of or this video of the Urban Farmer Rewind. This is Season 1, Week 24. You can watch the full video of this episode right here on this YouTube channel. Let me know what you thought about this episode in the comments below. And as we sign off here, I'll leave you with as always, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.